Ah, yes. Another week, another lawbreaker, another spontaneous left wing canonization ceremony, because on the left, death doesn't end accountability, it erases it. The moment someone dies while breaking the law, the facts are immediately cremated, the footage is memory hold, and the media puts on its black robes to declare, actually, they were perfect. Let's walk through the ritual again, because apparently repetition is the only thing that penetrates propaganda. Let's decode this. Welcome back to Charisma Daily. So here's how the trick works every single time: break the law, confront police or ICE, escalate the situation, suffer consequences, instantly become a saint. Poof! Background erased, behavior forgiven, responsibility canceled. Now let's look at the latest Holy Trinity. Example 1: Alex Pretti, armed, aggressive, and apparently perfect, according to The View. Alex Pretti was basically the man you want your daughter to marry.
They killed the wrong guy, right? Because this is like the perfect guy. Alex Pretti is the guy you would want to date your daughter. The guy you would want your son to grow up to be: a decent human being who was serving humanity, serving sick veterans, who is, there is nothing that has been said about that man that isn't wonderful. And so they can't malign him.
Yes, the same man who brought a gun to confront federal agents. But don't worry, they assured us it was just in case, because nothing says peaceful protest like showing up armed, furious, and ready to defend yourself from law enforcement doing their job.
On 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground.
Wow, kicking ICE vehicles, spitting on them, raging at agents. Oops. But see, once someone dies, there is a new rule. You are no longer allowed to discuss what they actually did. That would be maligning the dead, also known as telling the truth too late. Example 2: Renee Good. But she was just a mom. Ah, yes, the left's most powerful legal defense. She was a mom. Yes, she was, which makes voluntarily inserting herself into a federal enforcement operation worse, not better. She wasn't pulled in, she wasn't targeted. She chose to obstruct ICE, escalate a volatile situation, and assault federal agents with her vehicle.
Get out of the car. Whoa! Fucking bitch.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at it. Show your face. I'm not mad at it. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. Same veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car. Whoa! Fucking bitch.
But once again, context must die so the narrative can live. On the left, parenthood replaces personal responsibility. Federal law, optional. Consequences, offensive. Choices, never discussed. Now, finally, here's example 3: George Floyd, the original template. Now, let's revisit the blueprint.
And this is a man who was a father and a friend and a brother and a colleague, and he was murdered in real time. I mean, there's a picture of his daughter right there. It's a tragic photo of her holding a picture of his father. This is a man who was loved, and his life was taken from him. And although his life has come to create this sea change, he was murdered in real time.
And after the story was locked in,
George Floyd was a career felon. He was in the process of trying to pass off counterfeit bills. He was reportedly under the influence of severe, powerful drugs, perhaps fentanyl in addition. He may have been suffering from post-COVID syndromes. He had a heart condition. One of his prior felonies was putting a gun to a woman's belly in a home invasion.
now here's reality. $2+ billion in property damage, federal buildings destroyed, thousands of officers injured, dozens of Americans dead. But here's the rule. You're not allowed to connect cause and effect. You're only allowed to mourn selectively. Criminal behavior must be erased. Law enforcement must be blamed. Reality must sit quietly in the corner.
Down. Yes. Again. Make the city pay. Again. And again. There was one about losing money when George Floyd died. We as a peoples can cause them lose more money now. If we don't stand together, we're going to fold. Together we stand, divided we fold. We as a community got to stop talking and do the work. We cannot wait till somebody die again to do the work. ICE is a demon. They are not human beings. They are killers. They're killing on target.
So here's the code, what this actually is. This isn't empathy. This is ideological enforcement. The left runs on inversion. Law enforcement equals evil. Criminal behavior equals misunderstood. Obedience to law equals oppression. Chaos equals justice. And anyone who points this out, racist, extremist, hateful, because facts are dangerous when your worldview can't survive them. Here, Scott Jennings entered the rooms and asked the forbidden question. Is this organic outrage or organized agitation?
Yeah, look, I think the video that we've seen adds context to what he was probably doing over a period of time. I think the narrative has been that he was just an innocent protester or some sort of an observer. It's obvious he was part of some organized effort to show up where federal law enforcement was and engage in some way, whether that engagement was recording or blowing whistles or whatever, or in the video's case, kicking in the taillight of a car. He was obviously there to do something. That doesn't supersede the need to have an investigation of the shooting. I support an investigation of the shooting. I will say, I think the investigation needs to be holistic. And I care more about just the shooting. I care about, where did Alex Pretti come from? What part of it, what group was he in? Was he part of any kind of a training organization? I mean, I think what's going on in Minneapolis is more than just random people showing up to protest. I believe, and there's lots of evidence about this, that there are well-organized, well-trained, and well-funded agitators who are showing up with the purpose of provoking these kinds of incidents so that they can then create the narrative that somehow ICE is out of control.
Notice what happens next. No rebuttal, no counter evidence, just moral outrage. That's not debate. That's doctrinal enforcement.
Contract lords. I challenge Black Americans to wake up to your true history, because your quarrel is not with white men.
So here's the conclusion. Let's call it what it is. This isn't politics anymore. Politics allows disagreement. Cults demand obedience. When criminals are canonized, law enforcement is demonized, and reality is treated like hate speech, you're not watching justice, you're watching ritual. This is cult behavior. And if this episode made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is what happens when propaganda collides with reality. We don't do comfort here, we do clarity. Remember to like this episode and subscribe to Charisma Daily. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care and bye for now.
We continue to expose the web of collaborators driving the Democrats to the brink of insurrection against a duly elected president. From the socialist communist organizations spearheading street activism, to entertainers reciting their memorized talking points, to the activists masquerading as journalists, and of course to the politicians stoking the resistance, same politicians who hope to ride the wave to abolish ICE altogether. This is a sophisticated operation. It's designed not only to drive Democrat turnout in the midterms, but to smash capitalism, the rule of law, and American sovereignty. And who's paying the bill for all this agitation? Everybody wants to know. Well, one individual who's getting a lot of attention is a multimillionaire named Neville Roy Singham. He subsidizes the PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation we told you about last night, and their activism that's happening on the streets of Minneapolis and probably elsewhere. Now, according to reports and congressional probes, PSL and another group of agitators called the People's Forum are largely subsidized by Singham. But he's largely untouchable because the rich guy moved to China years ago. And from there, and I guess elsewhere, he's funneled more than $250 million to dark money organizations here in the United States. Azra, you have been digging into the network that exists to support this insurrectionist, I'm calling it insurrectionist behavior. Tell us a little bit more about what you've learned and what Americans need to understand here. This is all AstroTurf, or is it organic?
This is absolutely an AstroTurf movement, and it is well-funded, well-organized, and well-coordinated. I stood today in Chinatown in Washington, D.C. at the corner of 7th Street, and there and Northwest, foot soldiers from the Party for Socialism and Liberation emerged with a wagon full of their protest signs and the familiar markings of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They literally said to each demonstrator that was standing there waiting patiently for them, "Do you want a sign?" And it's not an irony that we were standing there in Chinatown because the Party for Socialism and Liberation is funded and supported by an American-born tycoon who is based out of Shanghai, Neville Roy Singham.
Yeah,
And
we just
Mr.
spoke about
Singham
him.
has helped, exactly, Mr. Singham has helped to fund this network that includes, as you mentioned, the People's Forum, Answer Coalition, and the foot soldiers that are creating this image of mayhem in the streets. These are just some of the little flyers that I got. And you'll see in the very bottom is their landmark, their trademark right there, and then very clearly, Party for Socialism and Liberation. They're proud of their ideology, and they want America conquered.
Yeah, they want an overthrow of the American system, Liz. That's clear. They want an end to capitalism. These movements are all tied together, even if they have, in some cases, different goals. But the end goal is to disrupt what is right now. One of the people arrested with Lemon, Liz, is a man named Jamal Lundy. Here he is before the mob went into the church. Watch this.
Without giving away what the operation is, why are you out here?
I'm here to support our community activists. I'm currently a candidate for Minnesota State Senate, District 65. I feel like it's important that if you're going to be representing people in office, that you are out here with the people as well.
Liz, this is supported by Democrat Party would-be officials and, frankly, current officials down the line.
We've seen that again and again. In fact, we've been outing many state legislators, Laura, here. They've been part of these anti-ICE movements for months now and have yet to face any sort of consequences for that. But helping to organize with the whistles, blocking traffic, going through this training, in some cases leading this training. And those are things we continue to expose over at Alpha News.
Liz, Azra, thank you both very much.